Welcome back to part 2 of this Ferguson 3169. I'm going to get on with desoldering some of these electrolytics today. They are the notorious Callins brand. Now Callins is actually an American brand and they made some fine capacitors back in the day. These ones are actually made by Callins in Ireland on the old Shannon Airport site. And they don't have a very good reputation at all. I know the TV guys have no end of problems with them. Usually they just go short circuit. So I'm going to change all these ones first, and these are all 300 UF, so I'm going to put 330s in there. So I'm going to get on with that. I've got all my soldering stuff ready. Got this very nice Engineer solder pump. This one's quite good because it's got a silicone nozzle on the end which you get a very good vacuum with. Very good. You can get them off Amazon. They're quite expensive, but you know, they're made to last. Also got a set of desoldering tools should I need them. So I don't need to lift any leads, which I won't in this case. Got a pair of cutters and some thin nose snips, thin nose pliers, just in case things need pulling out. I've also got some solder wick in case I need to use that, and I've also got a Chinograph pencil here because as I pull the capacitors out I just write a little negative sign on the board there like that, so I know which way they go back in, because sometimes the polarization mark isn't actually printed on the board. And that's quite easy, so I just put a little negative on there. I always use the negative just out of habit, and afterwards I can just rub it off with my fingers. Quite easy. So I'm going to get on with this, heat the old soldering iron up and attack them from the rear. We all like a bit of attack from the rear. Right, I'm going to start on the first one and then I'll come back. Right, let's unsolder the first one. I won't show you them all because you've all seen people change capacitors before. So what we're going to do is just heat that up and desolder, and there's a bit of solder gone flying across there. So this solder pump is brilliant because it's got a nice silicone end which fits over there. Sometimes you just don't catch it right, so let's have a look at that. That should just, yeah. Okay, it's just snagging a little bit at the back there. So there you can see it's a Callins. Oh look, I didn't even see that one. Now they're all usually pretty useless. So let's have a look on the old ESR meter. I don't expect great things, I've got to say. Right. 424 UF, and that's a 300 cap, so just under half of its original capacitance gained. So, and I do appreciate it's testing at 1 kilohertz, and that is never going to pass 100 kilohertz. 100 kilohertz test is for power supplies, switch mode power supplies, which do operate at a very high frequency. And you wouldn't have even, I guess a serviceman wouldn't have even heard of an ESR meter back in the day when these sets were contemporary. So I'm just cleaning up the remnants of the original solder with some solder wick here, and I'm going to replace that 300 UF capacitor with a Panasonic 330 at 16 volts. Right, okay, so despite my little negative mark up here, they do seem to have printed, oh, get it in camera, they do seem to have printed the polarization mark on the board here. So It's pretty easy. Just pop it straight in, pull the legs to one side so it holds it in place, and apply solder. I tend not to use extra flux on the board, it doesn't really need it. There's enough flux in these. And remember, you're heating the lead and trace up, and you're not gluing. The solder is not a glue. You have to form a molecular bond to the component lead. There we go, just snip those off. Okay, and Ferguson's your uncle. Right, I'm going to do the rest and come back because, as I say, I'm sure everyone's seen everyone changing capacitors before. Well, I've got the board redone, and here's the pile of death. Just looking at some of the date codes on these capacitors, 6902, what's this one, 6902, 7005, 7024, 70009, 7024, 7024, 7024. So this radio was certainly built not in 1968-69, but around the middle of 1970 by the look of it. So that's interesting to know. I do like being able to date things. I don't know if you can see the date code. 70009. There you go. So with the latest capacitor 7024, and I think these are Callens as well, they're not actually marked as Callens, 7024. So middle of 1970 this set was made, which makes it reasonably old. So I was about 7 when they made this. So all done. Just flip the board over, quite easy to do. There was one capacitor typically that had no polarization print on it, and that's this one here. So I just had to work out quickly from the circuit which was plus and which was negative. That's always fun because I took the capacitor straight out and just chucked it to one side and then turned the board over and forgot which way I pulled it out, and it's not especially obvious. Now the next thing I'm going to do is just go over the board and look for any solder bridges that I may have made when I've extracted the original solder using the solder pump, and then I can solder it all back in place. I'll clean the bottom of these knobs or these switch things as I just before I put the board back in the chassis, and then we can wire it up and see if it still works. Undoubtedly it flipping well won't, but there we go. Quite an easy and quick job to do. Took about 20 minutes to do the, just to take, what have we got, 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 capacitors to change. Is it 10? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10 capacitors changed in about 20 minutes. So fairly easy, owing to the good layout of the board here and easy access to the underside. Right, while the board's out, I thought we'd just give it a clean over and see what it comes up like. So not bad. Obviously it's missing some of this anodized print or whatever it's, however it's made here. Oops, got the light right on it. Missing a little bit of print there, and it's filthy grubby, but let's just give it a wipe over. The handle's coming up fairly well actually. This is just get the worst off while I have the PCB out of the cabinet. I'll give it a good going over. There's years of gunk in there. Undoubtedly this will need a closer look, getting all the filth out. But yeah, not too bad. I think what we've actually got is one paint spot and one ding there, and another one just there. That is definitely a paint spot. You can see those marks on the grill have disappeared at the moment until it dries, and then they'll reappear. Quite like this set now, actually. I just didn't really want it. I just bought it for that car dial bit. But yeah, it's not bad. I'm pretty sure that cloth behind the grill, which is khaki, should be black, but 100%. Clearly years in the sun or in the light, any form of light, I've actually bleached it, but I really want to see what's behind these grill slats, see if it is black. It may not be. Right, that's given it a good enough going over. I'll just dry it off. Plenty bling. Not bad. Obviously I'm going to go over it again and see this has come back. I don't know if you can see that little scuff line there has come back, but a coat of Danish oil or something will sort that out, and some maybe a light metal polish on these strips here, and the same with the dial face, some plastic polish on the dial face should sort it out. Let's give this insider going over. That back strip, you can see all the grubby fingerprint marks around here, so I'll probably need something stronger like naphtha to get that off. Yeah, that's better. You can see that's all coming off now. Still some ingrained dirt in these, but I need to get a brush in there. Ugh. Well, there we go. That's like a quick cursory clean done of it. I do like to go down. I do like to go to town cleaning things, so part of the reason why I'm so interested in radios, because I like to clean and get that paint spot off. Yep, here it comes. Needs a little bit of help afterwards. There's some more bits of paint and or whatever there. So, there we go, one filth. Right, I'll get the board soldered back in now. Well, here's the Ferguson all back together, and what can we do but give it a whirl? So we're on VHF. I've got to be careful obviously of the music on YouTube, so it's on BBC 4.
Thin, affluent white women. The goddess of good living is the actor Gwyneth Paltrow,
So it's not
whose
too
wellness
bad.
brand Goop has hit the
I
headlines.
very much noticed the tone
Outlandish offerings.
on speech is quite ineffective and tends to muddy it
it's
up
called This Smells
down
Like
the
My
bottom
Vagina.
end. Switch to medium wave. See if we can find a station here.
Got a chance to bring her on. It's the first
Medium wave is not too good tonight.
However, it is a slight fear when you're playing against the quality players of Manchester City. Have A, got on the pitch, and B, more worryingly, have got on the bench as well.
Here it's very hissy when you turn the volume control
with
up.
the enhanced stadium sound on Sport Extra.
Long wave.
You have the cut.
And civil rights activists.
Pretty good on long
Examining
wave.
this forgotten history might make us think differently about what it means to take care of ourselves today.
So I've cleaned the volume pot out, I've cleaned the tone pot out, and I've just cleaned the cabinet up here, and I've given it a coat of everyone's favourite Danish oil, just here, just on this grill bit. Brushed out some of these marks. I noticed in the camera you can still see them a bit through the paint. I used German dark grey for this, and you can still see the little marks and stuff, which is a little bit annoying. What do I think of the radio? It's not a hacker beta by any stretch of the imaginations. It's not even a Roberts beta. Certainly not a Grundig beta. It's definitely middle price. Not really a great listening radio long term. It looks good. If it went in your car, it'd look quite good in the car. Unfortunately, this one is going straight up into storage now. This is not going to hang around unless anyone particularly wants it. But yeah, it's just a interesting late 1960s radio. I must remember to take the battery out before it goes up in the loft. What's up next? Right, next is I've got a Grundig Concert Boy to look at, which is proving a bit of a nightmare. I've got two Melody Boys to look at, and I've got a Mega. There's also a Roberts R707 which isn't playing ball. There's a Roberts R404 to look at, which I've got here actually. Very kindly sent to me by the Man Cave Workshop. It actually works, and there's nothing actually wrong with this. It's really nice. But let's see if we can future-proof it a little bit. It's really very nice indeed. So it has got a Mullard module, but it is mint, and well, there's no bangs or tears or anything, and it is very very good condition. So thanks Sean for that one. What else is there? I've got the Roberts Starry Night to do, which I've been looking for an aerial rod for, and I did manage to make a better one. This one is the original, and I've glued it back together slightly better than I thought I could. This is not the original coils on it. So it has got an exact match ferrite rod in it. So at some point we're going to have a look at this one. Must remember it's a 6-volt set. So I've got this one to do, and I do have a new handle for it as well. So there's that one to do, and we've got a couple more Roberts sets in the boot of the car currently to do. So anyway, I hope you've sort of enjoyed this one, this Ferguson. It wasn't that exciting, but as I say, just something a little bit different to look at other than all them Hackers and Robertses. Well, thanks for watching, and hopefully see you again soon. Welcome back to part 2 of this Ferguson.